all right, I want to create an experience for people. Like people hear Reiki, 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 Reiki. Like Reiki is like everywhere. It's kind of hard to truly understand how energy works.
When you go into the line of spirituality, you get paid regardless. Like you don't need to worry. Money and spirituality coexist.
I always remember my why. Why am I doing this? What's that end goal for me?
Welcome everyone to the Rich and Soul podcast. I'm your host, Nati Restrepo. And today I'm so excited. I'm so honored to be here with Laura Genao, the owner of Gaja Boheme. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much for having me here, my love. I love it. I'm so excited. I'm so happy to be here. So honored. So gracias, amorcito.
Yeah. Oh my God, Miss Laura, tú eres toda una paisa. Ella es toda una paisa de verdad. La verdad, lo que más me encanta de Laura Genao, Montes de Oca. ¿Y what's your mom's last name?
Zapata.
Zapata.
Sí.
Que ahí sí le sale lo colombiano. And let me tell you something. Let me tell you guys something. There is nothing like being Colombian. Dime si no, sí.
No, a mí me encanta. A mí me encanta. pero salí super paisa. My dad's Dominican.
Yeah.
So it's so funny because I'm like an all-in-one. I'm like the
two for one.
little, what is it? The little dolls. The little Russian dolls.
Uh-huh.
So you, like on the outside, tú crees que vas a coger una paisita bien como que quiere mi amor. Pero si yo no lo quiero hacer, no, mi amor, you get it yourself.
Le sale dominicano. Ay, Dios. Where do you think? So, okay, first off, before anything, for those of you guys that don't know who Laura is, Laura has literally the most beautiful little sanctuary here in South Florida. Oh. And you, like myself, have dedicated yourself to helping people on a very deep level. And, you know, my focus being around spirituality and business being the physical representation of what we carry inside, you have chosen to use body work, right? Because we can be carrying all these things inside, but physically sometimes, like, what better orientation than that? And I think it's super interesting the way that you've used the body to help people aligned. And, you know, easily you could have just been a massage therapist. Easily you could have just been another, you know, Reiki practitioner or whatever, but you chose to make your own style of things. And I think that's what makes you so badass. But before we get into that, I would love to know a little bit about your story and like how you ended up evening this space in a gist, you know?
I was about to say that's a whole like Netflix season. So thank you again for having me here, my love. And you know, I have to start off by saying I love your space.
Oh,
I love your space. That's what attracted me the most. I love all the colors. I love the vibes. I love the authenticity. You know, sometimes, I mean, and I feel like in any industry, right, it can become very cookie cutter.
Yeah.
And, you know, I can see like you stay in your authentic self. So I guess that's like a little gem that I'm dropping too, because that's what I try to live. So like just something immediately attracted me. So, yeah, I mean, a little bit about my story. I started Gaja Boheme. I used to work corporate. So I worked in digital marketing, 9 to 5. Sometimes until later. And my passion wasn't always there, you know, and I saw how there were people that were so passionate about the industry and I'm just like, this is a paycheck.
Yeah.
And I went through a pretty tough time around 2018. I was battling depression, anxiety, and it's stuff that I was already going through my whole life. But 2018, it just like everything just got thrown in my face. So, I was on meds. I was on medication. And, you know, for people that have struggled with their mental health, it could be hard, you know? So, especially your body getting used to the chemical. So, I remember driving to work and saying, is this really what life is? You know, you just drive to this office, cold, fluorescent lights, begging for 2 weeks off to go explore the whole world. Like, what is that?
In 2 weeks.
Like, hey, 2 weeks.
2 weeks to explore.
Give me 2 weeks to explore. Like, I want to go to, I wanted to go to Asia. I want to go to Europe. It's like, you expect me to go explore all these continents. And, and then I have to ask somebody. Yeah.
Beg. You have to beg for your 2 weeks.
Girl.
And not be judged for it.
Like, how many coffees do I need to come bring you for a decent vacation? So it was, I went through a really dark point, so whatever, I continued corporate and I was
What'd you do in corporate? You said
digital marketing. So I sold leads.
Hey, okay. So
it was that annoying auto warranty. I did the landing page.
Okay. So you weren't like, did you build funnels? Like, was that your thing?
So it was a part of my path. But that's when I learned about email marketing, SMS, what else? YouTube, ads, social. Yeah. So it really got me into that world. And also I was seeing all of the money that was exchanging. So it's like you make a call and then that's what, 20,000 that you just made in a minute? What? And I'm there, like working for, I wasn't salary, but still, I was getting a portion of that.
Yeah.
So that was another thing that was a bit of a mind,
Could curse. You can curse.
I want to be proper, but yeah, the mind fuck.
Yeah.
It was a mind fuck.
Yeah.
So that was, but it was also an eye opener. Mm-hmm. And it showed me, nah, don't make yourself small, because when I come from a background where, I didn't grow up with much money. So being able to see that, it was also an eye opener. Then I got into education leads, getting people into colleges. I worked with universities like Full Sail, DeVry, Colorado Christian, like all over the country. And that's when you get into sales. One day I was at work, I was bored, and I just started an LLC. No, actually, I'm lying. It started off with a fortune cookie.
What?
I had a fortune cookie. I forgot what it said, though. I gotta pull it up soon. But it said something, and I was just like, whoa, all right. I need to make a business.
Okay.
I don't know what I'm gonna do. I don't know if I'm gonna sell clothes. I don't know if I want to make jewelry. I don't know, but we gotta start this business because something's gotta give. So I'm sitting there, I'm trying to get the download, like, what do I want to name it? And I'm obsessed with elephants. I love elephants. I love what the elephant represents. I feel the elephant is the real king of the jungle.
Yes.
And I saw that Gaja is Sanskrit for elephant. Mm. So Gaja, and then I love the bohemian style, the boho style. So I said boheme or boheme with the accent. Boheme. Mm-hmm. So, so I started Gaja Boheme, opened the LLC. I didn't know what to do with it. And then COVID happened. And COVID shook everyone up, bro. COVID was wild. At that time, I was working my digital marketing job. I was another virtual assistant, and then I was also a makeup artist. My ADHD shows. Yeah.
Sometimes but that's the gift of the ADHD.
Yeah. So, COVID happened. I couldn't do the online marketing, and I couldn't do the makeup artist. So I was applying to different jobs. Saying, no, I can't do this. I have an LLC sitting there.
Yeah.
So, I went on Pinterest, and then I looked at candles. So that's how it started. We started to make candles. Yeah. I wish I would have brought
that. Was like the entry into, we have a candle in the room. So
yeah.
There's an intention lit for a candle.
Yes.
Wow.
Yeah. Okay. It all started with a candle, and I put like little crystals and little herbs. Mm-hmm. La Dominicana in me, I love working with herbs. And I started reading about the chakras, and it was what is it? It was just like the water, the faucet just turned on, just full of ideas. I was going through, that was when I was finally going through the tail end of a really hard time. I had just left a really hard, lesson-filled relationship, friendships. It was really rough. I was going through a massive tower moment.
Would you say that, that darkness that you were going through, that pain, right? So you're going through this like turning point in your life, and you're somehow introduced to working with candles. And from there, how did that take you into the point where where you realize that your hands are powerful?
The fact that it was a moment that could have really broken someone, and I was forced to face my own demons and see how, a lot of us kind of stay in a very victim, like that doesn't define my story.
Yeah.
But I did learn a lot from it. And, a lot of us can either stay in the victim mode and point the finger and say, hey, like you did this to me, or, but I had to also, when I'm pointing a finger, I'm pointing three at me. I had to look at myself. So I didn't get it right away. That was listen, I'm still going through it. I'm still learning. But if I kept bumping into the same situation over and over and over again with different people. So I had to really look into myself and say, no, let's do this. Let's alchemize this.
And did you start like receiving, like, talk to me about like you realizing, like working with energy, right? Whether it was through Reiki, through sound, because you offer all these different types of modalities, and you're literally putting your hands on people. Like, talk to me about
the transition,
that discovery of like, whoa, this is, I've received myself. Wow, there's these modalities out there. And then, wow, I have this activation that's happening.
I think every healing guide, right? So for the content of the conversation, every healer, we all have triggered people at some point, and that makes you realize, oh, okay, I have a power. There's something here. So when I started learning about the chakras, learning about energy, I also remembered a lot of people would tell me, you need to work with energy, but I was afraid. There's something that I call the witchy wound, the witch wound, where our ancestors, when they were colonized, the medicine that they were giving was looked at something bad so that they could take in this religion. Now, I find religion a beautiful thing, but when it's used in a matter of control, that's when it got bad. And that can happen in any space. So, I had the witchy wound, so I didn't want to do it. It scared me, it intimidated me. And then I realized, I'm like, I already work with energy unknowingly. Look at everything, and I'm not protecting myself. I'm exposing myself. When I learned about the chakras, I learned about alignment. So Reiki for me was my gateway. I learned Reiki, but it was really hard. And it's been hard.
You were like me too, where you had multiple Reiki teachers, right?
Yep. Yeah. So you already, oops. So yeah, it's really hard to find, it was really hard to find a mentor. There's a lot of spiritual gatekeeping. I mean, I also respect the sacredness of it, but it was, I don't know, maybe you can share a little bit about your experience, right? But I almost noticed like, and that made me want to look within and see like, okay, is my light maybe too bright? But that did give me a lot of imposter syndrome, where I was like, oh my gosh, am I not worthy of this work? Because when I would meet mentors, it was a little catty. I was like, whoa, I'm just asking questions. What's going on? Why does that work like that? But it's like, they didn't, I don't know. So nobody at the time wanted to take the time and mentor me. Wow. Was that kind of like your experience, or why did you have multiple Reiki? Let's interview you, girl. Why did you have multiple Reiki teachers?
So I think there's two different like things to address, right? So for people watching, if there's a huge movement right now of people wanting to help others.
Yeah.
That's what we're seeing, a lot of healers. That's what we're seeing, a lot of the fake spiritual influencers, or the real spiritual influencers and coaches, and all different types of leaders per se. That frequency is just growing so much. And so within that, we're seeing a lot of gatekeeping too. And I think in terms of me and my story with working with energy, it was interesting because as a young girl, I did always experience a lot of supernatural activity, and I was always seeing things and feeling things. And my parents, being the typical Colombian parents, they did what a typical Colombian parent would do, which is put her in Catholic school.
Oh my God, girl, I was in Baptist. You know that's why I'm ambidextrous. They used to smack my left hand.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, Hialeah.
No, mine's Hialeah. Okay. Mine's was my school, Holy Family. Shout out Holy Family. But you know, it's interesting that I always say that was my first school of witches, my first school of energy. Catholics. Because I mean, I learned. It's so interesting. My mom always said since I was little that I was always bien rezandera, that I was always like, and she's not really, it's interesting, but I was always praying. I was always like with my saints, with my this, with my that, and being put in Catholic school for the first time. I had failed 4th grade. I was a horrible, I had a really hard time in school growing up. I have ADHD and dyslexia as well. And so when I went to Catholic school, it was like, okay, well, let's put her as the Virgin Mary because she's so cute or whatever.
As the Virgin Mary in preschool.
I think we talked about this.
Oh my God, El Niño Jesús.
Yeah, always. And so for the first time, it was like I was the star of school, like versus I was never like accepted at school or, you know. And so I think that was my first introduction to like like finding a path, which is why, we love as energy workers, why a lot of us find a haven in Reiki, because it gives us a mold to follow, because it is so tough. We have forgotten so much about our lineage and from our ancestors that Reiki gives us this like modality that's like written and you can adjust what you can, right? You use the script, of course, but then you start to add to it and flourish into it. So that's why I had many Reiki teachers after. I mean, not many. I had 3. How many did you have?
I had 3 too.
3? Okay.
Yeah, I had 3. No, so I had 4.
4?
Oh yeah, no, I had 4. Oh my God.
Well, just so you guys don't know, we have the same teacher. Shout out Luz.
Hey.
So from there, I ended up my mom had a friend, really close friend who's a very well-known astrologer. And I sometimes incorporate her downloads into our email list and all that stuff. And I always talk about her too. And she's not on social media or anything, but she works with lots of high ups in the world as an astrologer. And I remember she told me, she said, Nati, you know, you can try to ignore this, but one day you're going to have to make that decision. And it was always in the back of my head. Like I always, even throughout my crazy teenage years, any of my friends can tell you, I was always like, be careful, this could happen. Like I was always kind of like very in tune since I was a child. And I remember when she told me that, I would just kind of like ignore it because I even infused it into my corporate days. Like at work, my staff members, they knew that I would, you know, if they had a headache, I wouldn't just give them Tylenol. I would give them some essential oils and then I'd give them some Reiki and stuff. It was just kind of like part of everything that I did. And so I remember she came to me again and she said, Nati, so how long are you still ignoring? You're still ignoring the sign? And she told me something that really triggered everything. And it was, I think I said to her back, you know, I make a lot of money. I can't like just give up what I've been doing. I've been doing this for so long. And, you know, I have this lifestyle. It was like a very egotistical kind of like response. And she was like, this is the thing with spirituality. When you go into the line of spirituality, you get paid regardless. Like you don't need to worry because you're doing God's work.
Absolutely.
And it's so true. Every healer that I've met is so in tune with money, yet not in tune the way that we think that they are in tune.
Mm-hmm.
And, you know, I don't know if we really talked about, but the purpose of this podcast and the purpose of what we do at House of Vibration is to integrate both of those worlds, right?
Yeah.
To bring in those codes, to bring in that knowledge of how money and spirituality coexist, right? Because there's no reason why you can't have the exact life that you want.
Absolutely.
But it's just a matter of what you want. Question for you. When you decided to go and, okay, I have this teacher, right? You're maybe your first teacher. When did you know that you maybe needed a second teacher?
Well, I feel like we need several teachers, and everybody's a teacher. When I talk about my certifications, like I may not have the certificates, but the experiences that I've had with everyone in my life, those have been the biggest teachers for me. Mm. So you always have to change. Every person that you learn, look at there was one quote, mm-hmm. and it's act as if everyone is enlightened except for you. Every interaction that you have, like, enlighten me. We're always going to be a student. Always, even as a master, the masters of all masters, you're always going to be a student. Mm-hmm. So, you know, going back to what we were saying, as I was transitioning and people were talking about energy healing, my first Reiki teacher, super sweet, really beautiful. It was a one-on-one, and she taught me the basics of Reiki. And from there, at the time you don't notice, but during the 21-day attunement, life was testing. And I'm like, oh, okay, this is real. Like,
that 21-day attunement, a lot goes down in that 21.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah. Like you get ripped, like Band-Aid off. And, you know, from there, I always recommend when people are going into Reiki, I tell them, like, take your time. Take your time. Enjoy the journey. When I see programs, get your Reiki 1, 2, 3 in 2 days.
About that? Can we talk about that?
Absolutely. Let it integrate. Allow your body.
If you are watching this, my students know, my coaching clients know, every time they tell me that they have gotten attuned for level 1 and 2, 3 in a weekend.
This is healing. And life.
Death.
Yeah, healing. Yeah, life and death. You go through. People want to talk about ego death on ayahuasca. Don't underestimate it, man. And that's how you know when you've had a powerful teacher.
Yeah, I agree.
Because there's people that you can tell who did it online and who's had teachers. Because when they talk about Reiki, they talk about their experience, like, all right. And I noticed that.
Yeah.
So
they diminish it. It's like oh yeah, you're Reiki. Like, it's just like this other modality.
Yeah.
And I'm like, it's the teacher, right?
It's like partially the teacher and then also you, because I've had both experiences.
You're right.
You know, I've had both experiences where I did have a teacher, but I'm going to admit I wasn't fully in. So yeah, it was a journey. I was like, all right, what am I going to do? Then I sat with it. I said, what am I going to do with Reiki? Oh, in order to have a Reiki practice, and you know, this is where I turned to a nerd. I was like, you got to be a massage therapist or a reverend, you know. And I wanted to provide an experience for people.
Yeah.
So my friend, she was like, Laura, just do the reverend thing. Fuck it. You know, just do the reverend thing. And I was like, nah, man. Yo quiero la vida difícil, bro. I don't want nothing easy. Let's go back to school, bitch. While I'm working too.
Yeah,
while I'm in the middle of moving, while I'm getting married y todo. I was like, nah, let's do it. So I jumped into massage school because I was like, nah, man, like, look at how cool that would be. You know, because I was seeing Reiki and sound healing. I was like, no, I want to provide something different. I learned about aroma. I want to provide an experience that caters to all 5 senses. I got inspired by Disney World, bro. Listen.
We've spoken about Disney. Me and Johnny have a similar, she had a similar situation happen to her at Disney where like it's
I judge Disney adults.
Me too. I judged them until I
was like, oh, it's a cult. I'm a part of the cult.
Yeah.
I'm a part of the cult.
Until I went infused.
Girl. So I need to do that. Yeah. But it was, okay, so turning back a few years, 2015, I did get my degree in business.
Okay. I love it.
I wanted to do it in psychology, but, it was like clinicals and stuff. And, the situation in my life at the time didn't really, it just couldn't happen, but it's okay. I did business. I wanted the piece of paper, so I got my bachelor's in business. So business has been something that has always interested me. My dad is a businessman. My dad's a charmer. Like he could walk in anywhere. He could sell it. Yeah, he's a mecca. I got his personality. I definitely got his personality. Not the whole personality.
The Colombian came in and...
absolutely. The Angelita came in. Yeah. Yes. Her name is literally Angelita.
Oh.
But business has always been something that has interested me. But the confidence, I never saw myself as a businesswoman until years. It was like it came out, it surfaced, it was born. I don't know why I talk a lot with my hands.
No, you're good. Don't worry.
So fast forward, I wanted to do the Reiki. I found out about massage therapy. I already had a background just like you with essential oils. And then Disney, I was like, what is it about these people that they come? What is it? And when I went on that ride,
which ride was it?
I went to Epcot.
Which one? The one in the
Encanto one, the freaking soar, the fly one.
I'm
Girl,
such a fan too.
I was like, and then Gladys, she wanted to kill me because the whole time I'm like, this is how he does it.
Yeah.
The smells.
Yes.
The sounds.
People underestimate him. I swear. It's
and then
crazy.
I'm like dissecting it. And then I remember like coming back to the office and I was like, we're changing everything. So I wanted...
Okay, but this is already when you had your office.
This was when I had my office. But before that. Yeah. But even then, like Disney did provide that for me. And then I also worked at Chase as a teller and they don't use, I don't know if I'm allowed to say, girl, I haven't worked there in so long, but they don't talk
Chase
about
secrets.
It's been years. It's been like 13 years. They don't offer customer service. They offer customer experience. Mm-hmm. And that stuck to me. So between Disney providing an experience, which I had already went before, and that my Chase, I was like, all right, I want to create an experience for people. Like I want people, when I know that people hear Reiki, like Reiki is like everywhere, but then it's kind of hard for certain, for the everyday person to truly understand how energy works. That's what attracted me about massage therapy. I had a phenomenal teacher in massage school and I told her like, I'm here to have a Reiki practice. And bro, like she went in and while I ended up getting, it's like everything it was a snowball effect. The people that I had connected through candles and jewelry, one of them introduced me, my really, really good friend, Janet. I love her. She's an herbalist. She introduced me to Vanessa. She had a I love these girls so much because they knew me from a hole in the wall.
Yeah.
I don't think they even knew me for a year. Vanessa didn't even meet me. And she was like, yeah, I'll share the space with you. She rented out a room. I used to pay $300 a month for it. And I would practice massage on people. I did, like my energy stuff. And, and even though I felt like, yo, who am I? I'm like, no, man, I've been doing this energy work desde chiquita. This is something that you have to remember. That's why I say life is the biggest certification you could get. Like life, like what do I want to experience? I would love to experience someone to nurture me, to take care of me. And I wanted to provide that. So yeah.
What was your first like, wow client? Like, where you put your hands on someone and you were like, I'm meant to do this?
Oh, girl, my angels, they spoiled me. It was like my first one. Like,
really?
Yeah, it was my first time. Just like, you know, because we all have the gifts. Yeah. We all have those inner gifts. It's when then you become intentional with it. Like you learn how to, and I don't want to say control it, but in a way kind of maneuver.
Yeah, manipulate it.
Manipulate it, exactamente. So being in that position where now I've learned the Reiki. I'm getting in tune with my instruments. You know, I'm doing all of these things. I can blend it and I can create this. You're a little bit more organized with your stuff.
That's what Reiki does. Like I feel like it helps you stay organized.
Organized, exactly. Like,
and the beauty of a teacher and a guide. Okay, now I have a question for you now as you, and I think that the way that the process of mastery in a sense, right? Mm-hmm. And we're never truly able to be masters of everything, but masters of one. Mm-hmm. Yes. Right. So you've kind of now mastered this vortex experience that you're creating. And you are now stepping into this role where you're instructing students and you're teaching them this modality in which you've kind of created, because you have a very custom modality too. As an instructor, when do you feel that the student is ready?
When do you feel when the student is ready? It's hard to put in words because it's something that you literally just feel.
Yeah.
It's when they start owning who the fuck they are. It's when they start owning who the fuck they are. You know, that was my conversation with my last student. She's the first holistic flow practitioner, and I was like, oh my gosh. And you know, sometimes we think, oh my gosh, I didn't get these trainings outside of the country. I'm not legit. You know, I call myself una curandera, but oh my gosh, I've never lived in Colombia. Pero yo tengo Colombia en mi sangre.
Ay, María.
Ahí están los ancestros, you know, like, and every, you know, 4 things to be they call it a curandera total. It's herbalism, teaching, body work, and working with a spiritual tool like obsidian. And I just found that out. So it's like the path took me here. And it's when you start to realize, oh, wow, life took me here. I think that's when you know. That's when you know you're ready. But even in between that, though, you know, it's just owning that feeling. Like, oh, you know what? That's where I'm ready. So I guess like that's like when you enter that mastery.
And it's like, to own it. I'm like, I love that you say that. It's like knowing who the fuck you are.
Yeah. No, like remembering who the fuck you are.
Yeah.
This is who I am.
Yeah.
People are going to say like, oh, no, but okay, that's their perspective. Yeah. That's fine.
That's like intro 101 into my coaching path too. Like anytime I work with anyone, like any event, any workshop, any coaching path, retreat, the number one thing, and I receive a lot of people who ask me like, how do I find my passion? Like I can't, or people will end up on my, this happens to me all the time. People will end up on my page and they'll see like a retreat or they'll see like an event or something that I'm doing. And then they'll be like, never mind. I just noticed that it's for businesses and I don't have a business. And I'm like, my love, you are a business.
You are a brand.
You're a brand. You're much more than that, even that.
Yeah.
You know, this is for everyone. Everyone is a business. Everyone should be carrying like this representation of who they are inside.
Absolutely. Ooh, okay.
So I love that you say that it's like remembering who the fuck you are, because it's not that it's going to just come up one day. Like this is, I call it like the seed phase where people are like, I want it now. I want to be like the highest version of myself now. Like I want to be a multi-millionaire and have the perfect husband or the perfect wife and have it all like, and I just don't even know where to start. Like and I'm like, you know why you haven't remembered? Because you haven't paused.
Yeah.
You haven't reflected. And that's why the power of being bored is so important. But instead, what happens is that now we're living in a day and age where when we get bored, what is the first thing we do?
Scroll, doom scroll.
Doom scroll. Versus like when we were children, where we'd get bored, we'd pull up the beads, we'd pull up the dolls, we'd pull up like, you know, that box that like everybody had that box where it was like, this is where my toys are that I don't really play with, but like maybe it's like the gummies, you know, or like you remember the little hot tool?
Yeah.
It was like a gummy that you'd put in like a little oven, and then like this little like slimy thing would come out. Like the more creative juices would come out when you were bored. And so that's why it's so important to go to events, to go to like workshops, and to do pottery, or to do find a new teacher, because in that opportunity, that is when you find, oh man, I am good at this, and I'm remembering now what it is that I want to do. But if you don't stop, then you'll never freaking know that. So how does that happen? When do you know you're ready? When you remember who the fuck you are.
Girl, facts. I like this collab.
Mm-hmm.
I love this collab.
Speaking of collabs, talk to me about collaborations. And, you know, you're more up in South Florida. But I actually came to Laura like recently. I said, I came back from like, I think it was when I came back from Bali, and, Laura was in our collective. And so I always try to like, you know, be up to date with what, you know, people in the community are doing. And I'm like, I want to go visit her. I'm going to go visit her.
You're the best when it comes to that, Nati. No, that ass. That's so, I have to give you your flowers when it comes to that, because you make us feel seen.
Oh, yeah. Thank
you. You make us feel seen. You make us feel, you know, we feel the love and the gratitude that you put into the people that also support you.
Yeah.
And that's so important. You know, you help us.
For granted, yeah.
You help us see our magic. You push us, you know, and I love that. I love that. Sorry, girl, I had to give you flowers. I was like, damn, I like this girl.
I don't take it. I think, man, I heard a quote one time that was a previous mentor of mine that he said, your friends are not your clients. Instead, your clients become your friends.
Oh, 1,000%. 1,000%. I mean, I don't know. Us having this type of business, it goes into what we were saying. Your life is a brand.
Mm-hmm.
Because it's like now a la fuerza, I have to work myself. If I want to give myself a promotion, I'm not in corporate no more. I don't say, oh, I want to, no, instead.
I want to prove myself.
Yeah, I'm going to go prove myself. And then other times people get intimidated.
Yeah.
Because you don't have, but the way that I see it is the possibilities are endless. Yo que quiero hacer, I want to go on a trip. I want to go spread this work, spread this healing somewhere else. So that's where collaborations kick in.
Yes.
Connections kick in. Like network, get out there, expose yourself. You know, for a very long time, I was a little bit shy. I was a little bit, you know, saying, oh, no, I'm afraid to put myself out there. I'm afraid of getting burnt. It's going to happen. Yeah. That's how you learn and embrace those lessons.
That's like I think the testament of how we're all supposed to be in business, because when you open up your business, whether it's a small business of like candles or photography or whatever it is, your passion project, the first thing that you realize is the power of collaboration.
1,000%.
And it's to show us that we need each other as a community. Because when you're working solo, you're like, I don't like people. I don't want to, and I could stay home and just be introverted and not be on social media. But then when you do that in your business, you realize how incredibly selfish you are. You can't do that because you have to. I remember that was one of the most difficult things when I stepped into this world of having my own business, because I was always someone, I don't know if you were the same, but I was so like almost anti-social media. I wasn't into it. I wasn't into taking pictures like this. I 10 years ago, I would have never been okay with this. Like, this would have, I've always been behind the scenes.
Yeah.
Perfect. Like I work great under pressure, but people sometimes, it's interesting. They'll be like, oh my God, you seem so calm. I get people all the time. I think you told me too.
Yeah, girl.
Why do you seem so confident for the camera? It's not about me. It's like, I don't love it.
On TikTok, girl. I'm like, yes, get out there.
But it's not something that you're doing for you.
Exactly.
It's something that it's like, wow, in order for me to push on this mission and solve this problem, I have to do it. There is no choice. And that's why I always say, it's interesting. I'm speaking to another fellow Reiki master. Whenever I have a client who is their third eye or is a little bit on the lower side.
Yeah.
I always, let's say someone's third eye is a little bit lower and their root is low too. I always say, let's just worry about the root. Let's just worry. I'd rather focus on another chakra, because I always say, if you want to turn on your third eye, you could turn it on right now. It's the easiest one to manipulate. It's because for me, I compare it to almost like that fear tactic, right? It's like when you're about to go on a motorcycle, right? Let's say you see some dude riding a motorcycle. He's like, want to get on the motorcycle? And you're like, no, I don't know. Like, I'm good. And then you're like, your friends are like, come on. And you're like, damn, I don't want to look like a freaking wimp. Like, you're like, oh, yeah. Like, okay, fine. I'm going to get on. And people look at you and they're like, oh my God, she's so confident. But they don't know that inside you're freaking out. That's the beauty of confidence. That's the beauty of, like, people will never know.
Girl, you gotta wing it.
You gotta wing it.
You gotta wing it. That's what rappers do.
Yes.
When they first start.
When they're freestyling. What do you think? Like, they knew what they were going to say?
No.
Speaking of freestyle.
No. Don't put me out there, girl. Not today.
Okay, I'll keep it for later.
People aren't ready for that time.
Yeah, because I freestyle too, and so does Johnny, so.
Oh, okay. I'm ready.
Okay. I want to talk to you a little bit more about collaboration.
Yeah.
And okay, so when I kind of was asking you a little bit about this before, but have you had any bad experiences in collaboration? And I'll be hampered by. You're like,
damn, girl, you putting me on the spot.
Okay, you don't have to say the exact story.
No, it's I think it's more about like lessons, I think, where I've had to learn that, for one, it doesn't matter how many followers that person has, and I think that we've all at some point have fallen victim of the whole glamorizing popularity. Gladys and I were actually having this conversation where you might have a mainstream artist, but that doesn't mean that they're the best artist in the world. It's the underground. So when I was first starting, and this is the reason why I was a little bit fearful, again, like collaborating, is because I then started to notice, like, nobody before wanted to give me a chance. And I was frustrated. I'm like, people aren't seeing my power. Like, I'm powerful. And Gladys would be like, yeah, big fuck them. I'm like, yeah, fuck them. Yeah. And then I would get hit up. And then one time I got hit up by somebody that had a bigger following than me. And I was like, yay. And then I realized that, and for me, I'm an open book. Like, we talk, I'll share, and I get those downloads, and I'm like, oh my God, and this would be cool, and this would be cool, and this would be cool. Mm-hmm. So then all of a sudden the collaboration could not happen. And then months later, I saw her. Yeah. And I was like, okay.
That's happened to me several times too.
And I'm like, all right, cool, So
they literally go and do it.
Yeah. Yeah. Or other times, like, I've been left kind of just doing everything, which the inner child, like, it's like, oh, okay, the project, I do the whole project for everyone, because I said I was a nerd in school.
Or sometimes, sometimes they get mad if you do the whole project.
But then it's like, you're not leaving me much choice, because there's a science behind it. Yeah. Like, that's where our business,
where social cues, energetic cues are so important.
Yeah.
I always talk about those social cues. Like, And that's why I always say in this space, one of the biggest reality checks for me were the amount of unhealedness within these teachers and in these leaders. I thought, I came from this very corporate and working with a lot of like high profile people. And I thought that they had problems. I'm like, wow, I'm going to go work with the spiritual people that had healed. And it was so much worse. I just was the first few months, and now you don't have any coworkers. You know what I'm saying? That you can go and like badmouth about and do the trauma dump with.
Like, yeah. We're coworkers.
Yeah.
We're the buddies. Like, girl, and I think that's important too.
Yeah.
Because sometimes, it's like, hey, look, I know your style. Yeah. Right. And who knows, like maybe those people, they could work with other people. I've seen it.
I've actually, in my experience, I don't know if this happened to you, but all those people that I've experienced the professionalism per se. Most people will come around and tell me the same thing, and I'm like, But speaking of like the unhealedness within the spiritual community, we see a very thin line.
Mm-hmm. Oh, girl, I know where you're going.
You know where I'm going.
I know where you're going. I know. This is where we connect. So
there's a connect there. So, for our fellow viewers, if you are looking to get into the energy space, okay, mind you, there's ways. You get chosen, you choose responsibility, all that stuff. And within that, you should never feel like you need to sacrifice yourself, your sanity, your peace, ever. And within that, you will find people who are battling a spiritual psychosis.
Oh, girl, we're going there. I just want to check on your dog real quick.
Oh, my dog?
Yeah.
Okay.
Let me just, give me a second.
Oh, baby, you want to check to see?
No, she's good.
Oh, okay.
All right.
Okay.
Sorry, she was asking, she's like, are there alligators in the water?
Oh, why is it in the water?
She was like, just wanted to check.
Oh, no, there's no alligators. What? But did he get in?
No.
Oh, okay.
She was just asking.
Okay.
All right, sorry, I just wanted to check.
No, it's okay.
But
we can edit that out.
This is a really hot topic.
So I'll reframe that question so that it's like we can get the full thing. Okay.
Yeah.
So being in the space that we're in, we oftentimes will receive clients who are going through some of the hardest things that they've ever gone through in their life. And they're battling this darkness sometimes. And that's where it doesn't look all pretty with our job. And that's where you're really tested.
Yeah.
And sometimes clients will come in at their just lowest and they've never experienced this feeling or the sensation that they're feeling in those moments. And there's a lot of new light workers who are coming into this world that are holding space and don't know how to handle that. What is something that you do to help you differentiate when someone is going through a spiritual psychosis?
Yeah.
And when someone is going through something mentally, right? Where you need to pass on the work to someone in a different area, another teacher,
1,000%.
Another master. Because the limpia that you gave is not doing it. It's not getting it.
El huevito ya está hervido. Like, let's put the huevito away real quick.
The huevito, ya.
El huevito está revuelto.
The huevito está revuelto, oye.
Know your scope. Know your lane. This is coming from a person where, I do a lot. I do body work. I do energy work. I'm also a life coach. But I also know I'm not a doctor. I'm not here to diagnose. Yeah, I'm a psych dropout.
Yeah.
Like I love it. And, I use some of my little gems that I learned, but I'm not a psychologist. This is the importance of building a network.
Yes.
And we all work hand in hand. So, for example, I'm with someone that's going through pain. I identify, okay, is it, it's like your lower left side that's correlated with the root chakra. That's the safety and home. That's the left side. That's the feminine side. That could be ancestral. You might still be sticking to things in the past. That's where we go into body talk. Yeah. And that's also where the downloads may come in sometimes too. People are like, oh my God, how did you know? And I'm like, oh, no, I just kind of felt it.
Yeah.
You don't really understand. But when we start that's when as a trauma-informed practitioner, you're about to enter some heavy stuff, right? Now, I always like to ask them, are you currently in therapy?
Me too.
Are you currently in therapy? I guess that's the reason why I don't like the term healer. Yeah. I like to use the word healing guide. Yes. First, it just creates this hierarchy.
I agree.
And nobody can heal you except for yourself. I can give you all the gems. I could do all the magic. I could, te pongo todo el limón encima, todo el huevo, toda la hierba, de todo. But if you're not going home and you're doing the work, baby, this is going to be the same hamster wheel. And I don't like that type of money. I've had to fire clients. I've had to tell people, hey, look, like, I see you're still not doing the work. I'm here for you, but this needs to be this needs to be an exchange. Like, this needs to be something, you got to meet me halfway. You got to help me help you. And there's been times if they're not in therapy, I'm like, listen, just admit it. It's okay. That doesn't downplay your abilities. If anything, that heighten, that puts you in a respectable position in the sense of, hey, this is out of my scope.
Yes.
I really feel like you need to go, you need to seek to somebody that has more knowledge about this.
I'm so happy you do that.
Yeah, no. And then it brings it to the how you were talking about the chakras.
Yeah.
Where people come in and they're like, I want to activate my third eye. I want to activate. Baby, you know how overactivated you are right now? You know how overactivated your crown is?
Yeah.
It's not about closed or no, baby, that shit is spinning. Let's bring it down. Let's bring it 3D. Let's bring it 3D. That's so people look at the healing thing as a hierarchy. So it's like, oh no, it's so 3D. I want to go 5D. Yeah. Baby, no, it's a cycle. Yes. There's times that you are going to have to go 3D. We're in this world. You got to pay that child support, boo. Like, no, you got to pay that rent. It's like, you got to be matrixy sometimes. Yes. You create your own matrix.
Yeah.
So, that's how, I hope that answers your question. Because it's something, something I'm really passionate about.
Me too. I think me and you are very on that subject and on that topic. We're both super, super aligned on that.
Yeah.
There's so much. And I think you said something super key, which was I think as spiritual workers, as people who are manipulating energy, right? And, and providing these spaces, right? It's not that we are the healers. No, again, I love the way you said it. I am the same way when it comes to my clients. I always want to know if they're taking the necessary actions in terms of therapy, psychology and stuff. But it's interesting how people like me and you can see the importance of having that aligned with this work too. Mm-hmm. And me too. I've created like an alliance, right? Like I have my therapist, my psychologist and stuff like that, where I can refer people to. And I think this message is just to our fellow brothers and sisters in psychology work, like to ally with energy workers, because sometimes that's not your work to do either. Sometimes there's like work that needs to be passed on too. And I have my psychologist friends too, that they're like, okay, like I have this person, like I think they could really benefit from working with you. So I love that you say that. So in your services, right? So here comes this like energy worker, this brujita, in which I don't mind. It's so interesting. I don't like saying the word witch, but I'll say it in Spanish. Brujita, I'm okay with.
Yeah, brujita.
Yeah, because it's like the word witch is literally what it was used against us for so many years. So
yeah,
that's why I don't like using it. But anyways, being this vortex queen,
I love it.
Have you talked to me about your relationship with money and how it is that being in business for so many years, I've studied business, been in corporate, digital marketing, all that stuff. What kind of influence did that have upon you starting your own spiritual business?
So I had to go broke a lot of times. Like, it's been a very up and down relationship, you know, and now I'm talking to God. I'm like, let me see them commas again, baby. If you give me those commas again, I promise I'm going to get it right this time.
Yep. Yeah.
So we built a relationship, you know, we definitely built a relationship. I look at abundance as a whole, not just money. Money is just a part of money. Money is just the physical aspect of it. Rest is abundance. Education is abundance. Like all those little investments, that's abundance. That's abundance. This exchange, this is abundance. When you look at everything else as abundance, I feel like you put so much more respect into that. So yeah, but I had to lose it all. I had to lose it. Like there were times like big amounts of money, and that goes into the conversation that we were having where, you know, you see that people get all this money, but they don't have the education. They misspend. And that's a massive thing with ADHD too. If anyone has ADHD, that dopamine fix. We live in a world with an instant gratification. So it's like we're getting all this money, but then we're also spending more money. We're living above our means.
Yes.
So it was so important for me to start living below my means.
Yeah.
And that's like, I mean, I'm a massage therapist, so I always have to keep my nails short.
Yeah.
But, you know, it's like you find like little things like, do I really need to spend it? Do I really need to spend this? Why am I buying so many extra clothes? Why am I doing this? I want to be able to invest, to pour into things that actually matter. Like I said, my education. You're always learning.
I'm the same. The
look of my studio, the look, you know, and then also it says, there's a quote that I saw a few weeks ago. And it's, the universe isn't emotional. The universe is mechanical. So if you keep telling the universe that, oh, I want more money, the universe is going to give you a life of wanting more money. So remember what the goal is. I always just look at that final goal. I always remember my why. Why am I doing this? What's that end goal for me? Like, you know, ultimately, like, I want a life where I'm with my family. I want to be able to travel. I want to be able to get to know different cultures. So then how can I make my dream make me money?
Wow. I love that.
And you're going to start to see that's where those promotions come in. We're in a business where it's not in paper. We don't have a contract. But now, baby, I give my own promotions. I see, okay, this person is doing this. Wow, I want to, you know what? I'm going to do that. That's next. That's next in the list. So I want to start to embody my promotion. I want to start to embody my abundance. So hopefully.
So fire. So beautiful.
Thanks.
Wow.
What about you, girl?
A business? And like, I guess the question was really around,
yeah. It was about abundance. But what about you? Like, how do you look at abundance? How do you, you know, it's like people look at abundance and they automatically equate it to money. Yeah. Right? How do you look at abundance?
The same, like the way you described it was so perfectly. That's literally, there's like, I don't know if you saw like the painting that I had over there, the print that was like, I am whole. Yeah. Which is that, right? What makes you whole. I love that you said how abundance is rest. Abundance is education. For me, those are the riches. That is wealth for me, right? Of being able to have my home and have que no me haga falta nada, right? That I can not be worried about paying for my mom's stuff, about my dad. My partner was asking me, okay, who do you think you have to help more? And I said, my dad a little bit more, but my mom, because she has everything she needs, but my mom is a shopaholic, baby girl.
Ooh.
My mom goes to the mall 3 to 4 times a week. She's a blonde fashionista.
Okay, pues.
Okay, like
la paisita.
La paisita. My mom is like that. And so like she has princess syndrome. I always tell her that. We were talking about the growing up wealthy and then losing it all. Literally, that's like my mom grew up and reality was like, okay, you don't have that anymore. And so she's never been able to face that. She's still super good, but compared to how she grew up, obviously it's like, like, oh my God. So I want to be able to always tell her like, okay, no, boo, like buy your Prada, buy another pair of Prada shoes. Like, it's okay.
Yeah.
Like, well, it's so funny because we're so different in that sense. But the rest thing, I always tell people like being in this space, like rest. And that was something super difficult for me. This past 12 months of my life, allowing myself to I have still to this day, and I'm working on it. So don't.
Te voy a regañar.
Yeah.
Me miraste los ojos.
Yeah, I know.
You haven't gotten a massage
I still have not taken a nap in between my work hours. Ever. I still haven't done it. And it's so difficult for me to be like, okay. And it's interesting because it's indoctrinated in my partner. It's indoctrinated in my father too, where it's like, don't rest, don't vacation, don't and so slowly kind of doing my healing first to then lead them through it is difficult too.
Yeah.
But that is abundance. So I love that you say that. What makes your soul rich?
Well, for one, I'm a Taurus. We're all about luxury.
Yeah.
Food.
That's well.
What makes my soul rich? Love. I come home. I have the partner that I've manifested, like my wife, like to a T, like to even how she looked. Just coming home to her, being able to provide the life that it's so nice to say, hey, we want to do this. It's like, yeah, all right, cool, let's do it. And I look at it like a little Pac-Man game. I'm like, all right, so I got to do, these many signups, boom, 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 bet. And then when I post something, I'm like, all right, let's clock in, let's post. When you go abundance, going back to that last question, abundance is also exchanging. This is an exchange. So I come here, I fill my cup, I connect, and that brings abundance to me too. So every time someone gives me money, I'm like, que se te multiplique.
Yes.
Every time I give money, que se me multiplique. It's all going to multiply. But what makes my soul rich is just that. It's love. It's warmth. Coming home to my dogs, being able to, our dogs we have 5 dogs. They have their own room. And, it's like I could wear the same outfits every day. I'm fine. But they're chilling in their room. That shit has a projector.
What?
Their beds is like an actual like mattress.
Stop.
Yeah.
I need a picture.
I got you.
Spell.
I'll show you the Ring camera in a bit.
Oh my God.
But it's like they have their own room. We're able to, our older one, he has his arthritis. So, we want to take him to like have like holistic treatments and stuff. And then they're all rescues. So we're able to like also save lives. Yeah. So that's just love. That's what makes my spirit rich.
Yes.
Love.
Yes.
That's it. I love food. Oh,
hey, did I mention
I love
food?
savoring. I love savoring life. That's, in essence, yeah, that's where I'm like a true Taurus. I just love savoring.
Tauruses really are like masters of savor. Like,
yeah.
Like they just like, I love seeing a Taurus eat. Like they're like,
oh yeah.
Yes.
No, and we're slow. We're slow eaters. Like we love to say, and like, it's like everything that is, I'm just savoring this moment.
Yeah. One of my best friends is a Taurus.
Oh,
you have to meet her, my roommate of 8 years.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, my sister, yeah.
Oh, my little Tauro.
I know.
Yeah. What about you, girl?
I'm a Virgo. What makes my soul rich? man, being able to do exactly what I want to do.
Mm-hmm.
I think that's the liberty of like being an adult, and like not only being an adult, but being a child in this playground too. Like being able to pick and choose, like I want this red, I want this purple, like I want to be with this person, I want to be able to be this person for my parents, and not only that, but to be able to help people the way that you want to help people.
Yeah.
That was one of the biggest things that I hacked in my relationship with abundance, was that I couldn't do anything if I didn't learn how to heal that part. I couldn't fix all these issues that I wanted to fix if I didn't heal that relationship with money.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
It's a relationship, girl.
Yes.
It's a relationship.
I love it. Well, Laura, before we let you go, where could people find you? Where could people get a glimpse and get some hands-on healing and to learn from you?
Yeah.
And to really, you're providing people with the tools if someone's feeling called to learn about how it is that they can provide spaces to heal others.
Oh, thank you. Thank you so much, Nati. So, you guys can follow me on Gaja Boheme, and also GajaBohemeWellness.com. That's my website. It'll give like a little description of the different experiences that I offer. And yeah, and I'd love to meet and help you guys. That's what I'm here for. Just vibes.
Yeah.
Thank you, my love. Thank you.
Yay.